Steven Stayner was 7 years old when his world disappeared, when he was stolen from the sidewalks of Merced, California, and thrust into the shadows of a stranger's life. His name was taken first. His identity was the opening act in a play he never auditioned for. Kenneth Parnell renamed him Dennis Parnell. It sounded harmless, soft, almost ordinary, but that name was the key to an illusion, one that would stretch on for 7 long years. Parnell didn't keep Steven locked in a basement or chained to a radiator. No, that wasn't his method. He was a puppeteer, a manipulator. He didn't just want a boy, he wanted a son, a child who loved him, a child who needed him, a child who believed the world had given up on him and that Parnell was the only one left. The brainwashing began almost immediately. Your parents gave you up, Parnell told him again and again. They didn't want you anymore. Each repetition was delivered with eerie calm. And when you're a child, when you're scared and far from home and desperate for some version of love, lies can start to sound like truth. At first, Steven resisted. He cried at night. He whispered to himself. He tried to remember his sister's names, his brother's face. But weeks passed, then months. And eventually, Steven stopped talking about his real family altogether. Parnell enrolled him in school. Claimed to be his father, they moved constantly from Cathy's Valley to Santa Rosa to Comce. Each new town was a reset button. Each teacher, each classmate, each neighbor. They saw a boy named Dennis with an older, somewhat distant father. Nothing more. What no one saw was what happened behind closed doors. The abuse, the grooming, the years of trauma inflicted in silence. Parnell made sure Steven had just enough freedom to appear normal, but never enough to escape. He supplied food, clothes, even pets, but he also kept him emotionally hostage. He weaponized guilt, fear, and confusion. At school, Steven became a quiet kid, reserved. He stopped correcting teachers when they mispronounced his last name. He let go of the idea of being Steven the way you let go of a dream once you're fully awake. And still, Parnell wasn't satisfied. As Steven aged from a small boy into a lanky preteen, Parnell's control began to slip. Steven started asking questions, started demanding answers. Why can't I call home? Why can't I go outside on my own? Why don't I have any real friends? Parnell, growing older and more paranoid, knew his grip was weakening. And then he did something that would change everything. He brought home another boy. Timmy White was 5 years old, small, blonde-haired, innocent. Parnell kidnapped him just as he had Steven. Except this time, Steven wasn't 7 anymore. He was 14. He had seen enough. Something cracked open inside him. Maybe it was the memory of who he used to be. Maybe it was the realization that if he didn't act, Timmy would face the same stolen childhood. Or maybe, finally, Steven understood something fundamental. He wasn't powerless anymore. He couldn't save himself back then, but maybe he could save Timmy. Parnell had made a fatal mistake. He'd kept a survivor long enough to grow stronger, and that strength was about to erupt. But before that night, the night of the escape, Steven endured one final quiet winter. He and Timmy shared a room. Steven comforted him, told him stories, assured him it would be okay, even though he didn't know how. He was no longer just a victim. He had become a protector. He began plotting, not rashly, but carefully, waiting for the right moment, watching Parnell's patterns. He didn't even know where they were. No maps, no phone, no addresses. But one thing became clear: he had to run. And when the moment finally came, when Parnell was gone long enough, Steven didn't hesitate. He grabbed Timmy's hand. They stepped out into the cold, and they vanished, this time into hope. The boy who had been stolen at 7 had grown into a teenager with the courage to save someone else. But freedom is never simple. The escape was only the beginning of a new kind of pain, one made of media frenzy, family reunions, broken systems, and shattered expectations. In part 3, we'll follow Steven as he brings Timmy to safety, faces his captor in court, and tries to return to a life that stopped existing 7 years earlier. But some scars are deeper than even love can reach.
If you found this story gripping, subscribe for more true crime cases that reveal the dark secrets behind everyday lives. Don't forget to like the video. It helps more people find these stories. And share this with someone who loves real-life mysteries, because sometimes the truth is more shocking than fiction.